and we are gonna get started. I the Anise asked if she missed anything, and I said if you would like to raise your hand for coaching, but you already requested coaching first in the stream. So I got you. Also, within the WhatsApp group, if anyone is like missing on the stream, I absolutely love that you guys are doing that. I'm like, please take that next step and do that. The other thing I wanted to mention, I've got like four things to mention, so I'm gonna keep my ADHD brain in check. So first things first, thank you so much for offering to create a WhatsApp group. I think that's an awesome idea. Um, Missy, if you are interested in starting that, spearhead it, and I included the link to everyone's phone numbers if you need it. So that's in here. I love that. If anyone hasn't put their information in, throw it in there and we're gonna get rolling. That's just from like the first couple weeks. Other the other thing, I have it. One more thing. I know I want to talk to you about quizzes and well, I'll remember it later. But the other thing is, oh, I do remember. Okay. So when this group first started, one of the things that I would love to see if you guys would like to on Instagram, I made us a group that was like a message with like all of us. And if you want to start posting, I want to show you guys what that looks like because I keep forgetting, and I'm like, I will remember this at some point to post in here. But one of the things here, it's not this group, it's for I made a separate one for just you guys. And what I would love is if you guys want to start reposting your post in this Instagram group, I will retag everybody in that. But what we've been doing is everybody in the morning mastermind, we all like her post and we all comment on her posts for her. So it gets more engagement, helps the algorithm, and it also you guys can see what each other's up to. And like it's kind of fun. So I will add that as a note to my brain and talk about that. The third random thing that I wanted to offer to you guys that I wanted to make sure I remembered is one of the things that I realized is a tricky piece of doing social media is the level of engagement, making sure you've got like people to engage with your business and things like that. And if one of the things that I found is that polls are super easy, super great thing that you can just add to a story. If you have a group or something, a Facebook group, you can start doing polls and things like that. And literally all I did is I asked my little chat. If you guys haven't used it yet, I will open up the training that Christina did and it says, what are 30 discussion polls with three options for each? And her person is perimenopausal women who want to, her pillars, manage stress, revamp their health, and find fulfillment. And look at how badass this is. It literally asks, like, how do you currently manage stress with menopause? What role does nutrition play? It's like all of the stuff that like chat just knew of. Like it was just like, yeah, like we're gonna tell you this. And you can just put this on your story and you can just be like, oh my gosh, like this is so easy. Get so much engagement. Get ready because February is going to be the month that I go ham on polls in my Facebook group. If you're not already in it, I will tag you or I'll add you in it if you want. But yeah, just ridiculous. So easy, very helpful. Last little like thing is that like I want this group to just be keep getting awesome. So if you have any ideas about anything that I could do to add this program, change anything like that, it on January 23rd, it just every month there's an opportunity for you to give me feedback. And I am just like so ready. I want this to be the best program you've ever done. Like I truly want this to be like a game changer for you all. And so if you have any other ideas, if you want to tell me what things that you love, things that you could use improvement, that is all in there. That is all. Are there any questions from those three quick updates?
I have a question.
Yeah, Missy.
One, love that. The polls, that's super fun. Do you know, sometimes I hesitate I feel like a lot of my Instagram is coaches following me. And not that I don't love all the fellow support from coaches, but I always wonder about the optics of that and the algorithm. If that, because sometimes it seems like it's more and more coaches that keep following me, and coaches aren't my clients. So I was just
Yeah.
curious if anybody, if you've got any thoughts on that and
So
generally.
generally, one of the things that I found is that most um and some attention is better than any attention, than no attention. So having some attention brought to your feed is more helpful than not. Then one of the things that I like to think about is like, even though they're a coach, maybe they would like some coaching. Maybe they know somebody that they could use. One of the things that like I've also realized is like they might be like, okay, yes, and a lot of them I'm sure might be business coaches, right? So they're looking to work with you, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But they still might know somebody else that they can use. And like at the same time, it's like we are all coaches, but it's like maybe um Teresia knows somebody that could use Jess and things like that. And so it's like, even then, I think it's still a helpful thing to have the engagement versus no engagement. Because
That
then
makes
if you get some engagement, yes, it could potentially send it out to a bunch of coaches. However, it is also going to get more views because it's like, oh, people are liking this. People are looking at it. I want to get it out to more people because I want to keep people on the app.
okay.
And that's how you hack the algorithm.
Thank you.
Of course, great question. And I know we got lots of coaching to get to today. So even though this is like a lengthy discussion, oh, and Tammy, we need to talk about you doing a training about more finances. Totally going to get to that. We're absolutely going to make that happen. And we are going to do that at a later time because today we're talking about business projections and just like an idea. And I did show the question again. You know what? I will do you one better. In our notes today, I'm going to look back at this and I will put it at the top of our notes from today. Because I realized that another thing that I've been doing is I'll be like, oh, I'll send this to you. And then like I forget. And I'm like, ADHD managed. I'm going to do it on the call. I will remember this. Okay. So going to business projections. It is just something that we want to be aware of even if there is like finances coming in, last week's financial tracker was really helpful for you to see the actions bringing in revenue. This is the other side of things where we're going to be talking about just some common terms that I want you to be aware of when it comes to finances and your business. So there are 6 different tabs in the spreadsheet I'm about to show you, and each of them have a different purpose. So yes, there are 2 different places you're going to be tracking receivables, and I'll explain why. I think it's important in just a minute, but you're going to be tracking your money in 2 different places. You're going to be tracking your money in the financial tracker that we talked about last week. You're also going to be tracking money in this spreadsheet about projections. So the first thing that we want to do is we will go over what receivables are. This is just an overview of each of the 6 tabs I'm about to show you individually. Then we're going to talk about expected receivables, how to track that. Then we're going to talk about consults and clients, how to see who you've actually worked with, current profit, expected profit, and projections. So I know projections is like the last tab, but still, overall, we're going to be talking about all ways to see your money. Now,
Megan, can I
yes,
interrupt you?
Anise.
When I had to go and look at the replays, I couldn't see half of the presentation because of as you can see now, we've got the 5 of us little block. So is there any way that you could, it's just because sometimes, and I know that other people also go back and look at it, is there any way you could minimize us?
I
know you
just did. Oh my God, that's genius. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Sorry,
I
darling.
just thank you. That is so good because I know there's lots of stuff here and you don't have to look at the spreadsheet or the PowerPoint as I'm doing this. So perfect. And if anybody has questions and things like that, the chat is disappearing. So we're just going to hold off questions until, because I think the chat would also block the view. So we're just going to hold up on questions, put them in the chat if you need to, so you don't forget, and I'll come to them after I explain the things. So within your projections, one of the things that you want to be doing is you want to just be tracking these. I think have found these 6 numbers ways to track numbers are just extremely efficient. So this is something I do monthly. Next week, we're going to talk about the monthly checklist. And what I did is I want to know how many clients I have, how many sessions I have, how many are upcoming. And I call this receivables. Receivables is money that is not yet in the bank and is something that you want to be keeping track of in the future. So within this program, I have a different document with all of my clients that are one-on-one is at the top. All of my clients that are group is at the bottom. And the main thing, because all of you are one-on-one, you want to know when somebody is about to finish for two reasons. We want to have a renewal conversation 4 weeks prior or 4 sessions prior to that, to the end. So you want to be keeping track. Okay, I'm noticing that I've got this person, Jimmy, who is finishing up in February. I want to have that conversation with him in January. I want to know whether he's renewing or whether he's returning. And that's going to guide the next 4 sessions, whether we need to like really hit home. What are we doing? What's going on? And we also want to know when, or if he's continuing, just like continuing and continuing to build the path. Within that, the other reason we want to know their end date is if, let's say, I like to proceed on the side of no one's going to renew. The reason I do that is because then if they don't renew, I just have a wait list. But if I have people renewing, then it's like, if I don't have somebody renew, I know when their typical time is up and I can just slide somebody in there. So for me, I wanted to know when people were finishing. And the third piece about this tab that you will see in your spreadsheet is how much money is coming in next. So if I were to add up all the people that I'm hoping this is how much they paid, and this is how much I'm hoping they will continue to pay. I say that with a grain of salt because people have life happens, things happen, people will not renew and things like that. Or some people might just quit in the middle. But it's cool to see, okay. It's like if all these people just continued to pay me, I would have made $23,000 just if people just continue to show up, which is great. So, how many sessions they've had, how many are coming up, end date, how much they've paid so far, how much I'm receiving, hopefully, in the future, how many payments remaining. This is like just like so I could see and be like, okay, all these people had already paid and I was still coaching. I was like, interesting. I'm like, okay, so people just like extended their package longer. So it's just a good thing to see there. What time are they currently getting paying? And these were the old price points that I had. I'm going to check the chat. Any questions about that? Okay. All right.
I have a
Oh,
question. This is
go ahead.
Teresia.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I can't see
So
you guys. So like you
yeah,
might be like
yeah.
waving to me and being like, hey. But yeah,
No worries. So how often are you going to update this sheet?
monthly.
Okay. And I'm assuming they're not, so there's no system of auto populating this, right?
Probably could be. There's like there probably is, but I like to do this by hand because I actually remember like I'll be like, oh, okay, I need to make a mental note. Like it's like I don't know if anyone's used like the budget software Mint or things like that, but it's like it kind of takes all your data and it organizes it for you, which is helpful. But it's like I don't really unless I actually look at it, I don't know. So I'm
Okay.
like, okay, I need to like actually look at these numbers and it kind of forces me to.
A quick question. So the
Sorry.
receivables you're saying is money that you are slated to receive in the future, correct?
Precisely.
And when someone pulls out, what do you do? Because
Take
do
them
you
and move them
pull
to
that
the
out of the receivables, right? You
Yep.
pull out whatever it is you're slating for the
Yep.
futures. Okay.
I actually said
All
two
right.
one-on-ones decide to pause and leave for now. Now I don't really do pausing anymore. And there are people in old payment plans and things like that. Sorry, I dropped some water on me. But yeah, I said 2 people say they're pausing and I just move them down. So just in case they ever want to come back, I know where they were at. This is when I
Okay.
was pausing. Yeah, good
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Of course.
Megan,
Oh, yep. Hmm.
so on this, your receivables are your actual money like you brought in after fees that you might have paid, or is it just the sum, basically
This is the lump sum. The
okay.
reason I do this is like, and I actually switched it to be like what I actually got in the bank. And then I talked with my coach last week and she was like that the deduction of the percentage is actually could be a tax deduction as well. And I know Tammy put that awesome resource in there. She probably knows that as well. But like that 13% tax deduction is something you can put on your taxes so you don't even have to worry about it. Does that make sense? I like it. So it's like if it says I'm gonna make 1,000, I didn't actually make 1,000. I made 970 and 70 cents.
Right, so that would have been maybe after taxes and what fee you paid for your processor.
Precisely.
Okay,
Because I just
thank
want to
you.
see like money in the bank. And that is actually a perfect segue into this slide. So unless there are any questions, they're feeling good about the receivables tab.
I did have a question on the color coding.
Ah, yes, different payments. So if you look at this one's 5 months for 3K, 10 months for 6K, this is why I tell you to have one offer because I did it wrong. And it's a fucking mess. It's a mess to clean up, but I still knew I needed to know my numbers, but it was, yeah. I had a ton of people just paying random shit. And I was like, this is so confusing. And it's very difficult to do projections. So that was what the different colors were. I was getting paid in the rainbow.
Thank you.
Great question. So that's what you also see. Well, shading was for different payment plans as well in here. So this, I like, that's great to see that I'm going to make 23K. Awesome. But when? Like, that was my question. I was like, wait, but when am I actually going to like see this money in my bank account? So one of the things that I do is I pull them out again and I'm like, I have these would be the one-on-ones, old one-on-ones and group members. And that's what I have here. And it should populate with the like it's just doing the sum, adding up all these numbers at the bottom so I could see. Your spreadsheet does have that. It should have the equation in there for you. However, if you don't know how to do equations with Google Sheets, I made a video for you for that. So you can just add it there. It's like a jazzy calculator. Any questions with that?
I'm not sure if this is helpful. So when I did
Yeah.
my sheet, I didn't see the sums in there, but I went ahead and I took the sums and I put it ahead on top of the months so I could see it. I didn't have to
Oh,
scroll
right here.
down the page. Yes, I just
Aaron, you're
inserted
a
line
genius.
and
I
I
love
put
that.
the sums, and then that way you don't have to scroll down. You know your totals at the very top.
Who is she? Love this. Awesome idea. You can definitely do that as well. Excellent. I'm going to switch that for mine as well. Now, there are 2 places where you're going to be tracking. There are places where I want you to track your consults. For me, this is what I did is I actually put these humans in names. So I would have had in October, I would have said the actual name of you. Like I would have been like, I had a consult with Tammy, Teresia, all of you, your physical name would be here. So I remembered who I had a consult with. And I just blocked it out for confidentiality, but I would bold the people who converted and unbolded the people who did not convert. So that's what I did over here on the left. And then I just included a space to like track my conversion rate and things like that. I left a space here. And then this is my fucking rainbow of color coding BS that I had to do. This is the 3rd page. Great question, Tammy. This is the 3rd page. And these are all my payment plans. So I would put in the group, I would be like, and right now I've got like one that says group in the morning, group in the evening. So in my morning group, I've got Harmony, I've got Nadia. In my evening group, which is you guys, I have Tammy, Teresia, everybody. So I put the physical name so I remembered who I was coaching and when here. And then each month I just like put that there. Like, cause for me, one of the things I kept like being like, how many fucking clients do I have? Like, you'll get to a point where you're like, I'm marketing every week. This is like, you're doing all this stuff. And like, you don't even know how many clients you have. You'll be like, I feel like I've got 7, but I feel like I don't know. So that is why I had this here. So I could actually keep track of all the humans, especially because I might not be getting payments from people, but I have them here. The other reason why this is helpful, I made accommodations for people who had maternity leave and things like that. So I would still count that person as a client even when they were on maternity leave, even though I wasn't seeing her in person, so that when she came back, because my program is 6 months, I wasn't like, oh shit, I actually am now seeing 17 clients instead of 15. I did, I held her place. That was just my choice, but it was just an easier way to see it. The next thing is what I call the 4th tab is the receivable, the current profit. And now we know that that word is actually revenue. So sorry to throw you guys off, but I don't want to send this. I will eventually send this to the person who made all the videos, for my for the videos that are like professionally done. It's just going to take a little bit and I haven't had a chance to, but this over here on the far right is revenue. You can think revenue is to the right. And what over here, I was like, okay, how many consults have I had each month? How many new clients came in? How many people were returning? How many people were lost? And then again, my total number of clients. Because like there, I could see that Katie was a client when she was on maternity leave. But over here, I wanted to just see the number. Be like, okay, my goal is to get 3 more clients. And this was from 2022. Are there any questions about that? You probably will once you start doing this. And if you do, then just we'll talk about it in our coaching. And I actually deleted everything up into here. So this should be blank for the current profit page, which is tab 4. And we'll talk about what the tabs look like in just a moment. Then tab 5, these should have been purple. I'm going to redo this, I promise. But this is the expected profit. So this is where I took the number that would be at the bottom or top. If you are Sharon, it would be here. The way it's like kind of formatted, it would be down here. And I took the January number, copied and pasted it, and I put it under the expected profit. So I'd put each of what I'm thinking I'm going to get paid over here. Again, people come, people go, but I wanted to have a track of that. Last but not least, the fun part is doing projections. So this is where you can take a look and you can be like, oh my gosh, I hope that the chat hasn't been affecting the view. But from there, what you want to do is you're just taking all these numbers and then you're seeing, okay, if I were to add 1 client in December, what would that look like? How would that formulate into my total goal? What if I added 3 clients in December? What would that do for my total? If I added 4 clients, what would that do for my total? And then you can see, this is my favorite part because then you can be like, okay, if I add 2 clients every month, I can actually see that paying off. I can see the way that would look. Now you would have to adjust your total, but that's one of the reasons why I like to do the projections. For the adding 2, what I did is I just like took my $970.70 and multiplied it by 2 over here. Now, if you eventually start a group, I also did it for just like larger numbers here. So you can see if I signed when I decided to do my launch last November, last October, then I would put the numbers here. Or if I got 5 people or 10 people, what would it need to be within my launch? And thank you guys for being you. Are there any questions so far? Feeling good? Sweet. Tammy.
Do you have, so like that, all that is in the, going over all that? Cause like I can see where I could put formulas that it'll auto calculate so that you don't have to copy paste anything. But I want
Yeah.
to make sure I understand it before I send it to you.
Well,
So I'll
the
probably go
issue
back
with
and-
that though is that like because I tried to do that, and I don't know how many, I've had people who have been like, I've got a group and I've got 30 people. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna, like, we can make an assumption that everyone's gonna have 20 clients. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if we the way that the calculations would work is it
Yeah.
if somebody had a different situation, I think it's for, in my opinion, I would like for you guys to know the skill of just like using spreadsheets just in case you need to formulate it later and you've got a different situation going on. So we can have both in there. But yeah, so what we're going to do, exactly what you're saying, is if you want to pull up the, oh, I stopped sharing my screen. Go ahead and go into the classroom and I'll review. Click on the projection spreadsheet, make a copy. And then feel free to, this is where you would put the different formulas. I'm gonna put this in here. Go ahead and save it to a new folder. Number 9, projections. Move this on in here. And then we should be good to go. Okay, so Tammy, in a review, I was like, oh man, where did you guys go? It's like on my other screen. Okay, so for the projections, you can put the clients' names here, the number of sessions. That's the rainbow one from the beginning. Expected receivables. If you want to put the total here, like Sharon suggested, awesome. Client and consult tracker goes here. This is like I did a consult with Tammy. This is the names of people. And then total. Names, total, finish paying. And you could be like total. Clients completed, total. Clients resigning, total. Then
And
you're
that
gonna need
Megan, clients completing, or they completed your 6-month program?
yes.
That's what
And
that
they
is.
decided
then-
not to renew, or they
Okay.
paused and stopped in the middle.
Or you could have completed and then they could also renew, like they completed the first 6 months and they signed up for another 6 months.
Big
Correct?
facts.
Okay.
I don't think I would put them there because then I would just be like, they're gonna be in the client's total. You know what I mean? This is more so to see what my what I'd like to resigning rate.
Grade is, yeah. Okay.
Great question. And you're gonna have to do a little bit of editing. Tab 4 is current revenue. And I actually did change it to the word revenue for you guys. So it actually is correct when you make a copy. But it's going to be 2024 because it's not 2023 anymore. I have one of these expected revenue 2024, projected revenue 2024. So you're just gonna need to change those numbers. And again, if you move stuff around, the issue is like I do have it populating for you right now, but if you move stuff around, if you add a column, if you do that kind of stuff, just don't go based off of this. Do not like double check it and make sure that those numbers are actually accurate because that could be a problem. One of my the original P&L that Tammy and I are going to discuss at length, the original profit and loss sheet that I had from my coach totally ruined what I thought my expenses were because it was based on her. Like I didn't do the like freaking I didn't equate things right and I told my accountant the wrong thing and I was like, sorry. Like this is actually not this. And I was like, oh God. So it's good for you to know your numbers, know how to use just the basics. It's super basic. It won't be that difficult. But if you want the basics with a a little guidance, Tammy, if you are already doing it and wouldn't mind sharing it, that would be so fucking awesome and we would appreciate it. So thank you. I was like, the goal of this is to make your life as easy as possible. So, but I just think that that would be something that I would want you to leave here knowing how to use an Excel spreadsheet. So with that being said, we have a ton of coaching. Anise, kick us off. Oh, with a win, and then we'll go in order of hands raised.
A win.
Give me a win.
Lots of wins. Lots of wins. Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing a parallel thing. So doing the marketing, and I'm doing it with the Entrepreneurial Founders Growth Initiative, but also using the contacts and the network I'm getting from these webinars that I'm doing for the Sales Institute. And they're all directors in big companies. And I've started speaking to them today, really warm stroke hot leads, and asking them, what are their problems? So just like you do in Instagram, right? What are your problems? And how do you deal with that? And then the next email, because I've decided to do 3, like next port of contact in 3 days time will be like, so this is what I often offer, blah, blah, blah. This is it. And then the third one will be, this is the results I've got. So, and then go back to them in 8 weeks time. And it's just beginning, knowing that this is a really slow game. Like it, getting into corporates is, it takes a long time. So I'm not expecting this to be quick, but just kind of starting to get over my own reservation, my imposter syndrome, and just being like, these people like me. They've already reached out to me. Let's and they got date. And the webinar I did last week, I was like, what are your pain, what gets in the way of you being an inspirational leader? And they're like, oh, this and this. And I got real data. And now it's like, okay, now I can build a program on that. And it's the same stuff that, you and I've spoken about: time management, stress, self-awareness goes out the window when you're firefighting, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, it was good. But it was interesting. I was supposed to do it
glad.
yesterday. And then this morning I was like, I didn't do it yesterday because I did all my reels yesterday, and I was like, today I was like, come on, Anise, you can do this. And it was just interesting to watch the reservation. So my win is getting over my reservation and just doing it, because it's all very well knowing, but actually doing it. So I was really proud of myself. Really
Yes.
proud of myself.
I'm so freaking excited for you. And this is like, I want to offer you that first off, anything that you had in that chat, best marketing ever. Use that shit. Like, get that, have it. Amazing. And I also want you to know that you mentioned it could be a slow game. I thought it was going to be. It's great for your self concept. And when I started doing things for corporate, I booked 3 consults and I had no idea what I was going to say to them. Really no clue. And people decided, I signed a client from it. And it was like
Yeah.
wild. I'm like so
Yeah.
freaking proud of you.
That's really
So
good.
definitely keep going. Maybe just with the mindset that like, okay, this might actually pay off like right now. And what can I help you coach you on? I looked at the pillars or the concept breakdown. Is this what you are looking for?
So I only started, so I've done all my February marketing already. So I might have a bit of a fly in the ointment. So
Okay.
February's marketing's already done, and the reel's already done yesterday. So everything is done. And then I watched your webinar, so I'll be like, right, so
Who is she? You did all of your marketing for February in one day.
Yeah.
Fuck
Well,
yes.
no, I did all the populating of the spreadsheet on the weekend when my kids were working.
I love it.
And then I did all my reels yesterday. Hence my hair. Look, it's beautiful. And
It
then
looks
that's
amazing. I was
I
like,
know, I
I
get it done. I get it done, and then I go and do all my reels. And then I just look scrappy for the rest of the month. It's great.
so
But
fucking proud.
but look, that's why I said to you on the stream. So if I wanted
To do a
so
webinar.
yeah. So the week, so the 21st, I don't really mind what I do it on, but the I've just chosen random Wednesday, 21st of Feb. It's after our half term, which is our week off that the kids have off. So it's the week after that. But that week, my reels are already doing decision making. And the
So
week
let's
before
do
that,
it.
they're doing stress, right? So I was just wondering, like from you, Obviously I can do more, but I just wanted to know. What I didn't want to do is then put it off until March, because I could see my brain doing that. Like, oh, don't worry about it. You're not fitting into Megan's thing. So let's just do it till March. And I was like, no,
No, good guys.
let's
Okay.
not do. Yes. Oh, okay.
My
Well,
initial thought.
yeah. Because
I was like,
actually that, yeah.
okay, so if we think about that, it's like one of the things that like I like to do whenever I am thinking about different concepts for my business is I'm thinking about how to like all of the things that I want you guys to see is that the pillars are there for separation pretty much for the algorithm. Like, you know, they're there for you to talk about. They're also there for you to identify these different pieces that you are now going to be standing out in the industries as experts in. However, one of the things that I see a lot of people get stuck on is like they're all kind of flow. I'm like, well, they should. They're all gonna flow together. That's one of the things that's important about it. And I betcha stress and decision making probably have a good meeting in the middle for both of these things. Now, subcategories are things that you could use as posts or even like bring out as presentations if you want to like really elaborate on it. The other thing is these are the posts. So if we were to look at these, you can do it either you could do a combo, you could just talk about stress or you could talk about decision making as a stressor. But I think that this is like fucking phenomenal. I'm like looking at this and I'm like, yes, and we want to think about like also like the results of these things, like selling them on work, like that's quite clear. But mental resilience. What's the why? Why do they need mental resilience? What is that deeper area? Those are the kind of things I would do webinars on. Now, I haven't asked you at all what your question is. However, what are you thinking now?
Well, I briefly looked at your work and it was like, what's their problem? So no, I think you've answered the first question. That's fine, which is,
Excellent.
yeah. I suppose actually, this is a different kind of question, but it's related.
Excellent.
Actually, there's two questions. One is, as you got more experienced with your reels, and I actually haven't watched your reels for ages, but see, I'm just giving value. I'm not bringing it back to what's like my process. Like, like when did that just, I know you said when you gave us our tutorial on it, you were like, this comes in time. So don't be too hard on yourself. And I'm just thinking, I mean, I've done all February's, it's fine. I'm happy with February's, but I'm just thinking ahead, what's the sweet spot with bringing in the pillar, bringing in the process and what you've learned, am I making myself clear? I think I'm rambling.
1,000,000%. No, you really are. So one of the ways that so the reason why I came up with the pillars is because this is a process that actually Stacey Bayman coined and she calls it PSPR. You might have heard of it before. So it's the P is for the problem, the S is for the solution, the next P is for the process, and the R is for results. What she actually taught us this as a marketing tool. It wasn't to create an offer. It was just like simply speaking about marketing. So within the way that she was explaining it is she would say, pick something, let's say priorities, right? And we're talking about prioritization. What is their problem when they experience prioritization struggles? What is the solution? The solution would be it would be priorities. Your process might be like an implementation matrix or like you could be like something that or time management is like you teach reprioritizing system for them. And then the result is you have more time to focus on things that are of importance. So you see how it's like the post would go in the format of PSPR, problem. It's a great question. Solution, process, result. Now,
Okay.
if you're the kind of person like me that looks for a formula, love that. But
Yeah,
the other
agree.
fun thing is that you can move all these pieces around and also omit stuff. So when to bring in pillars or not to bring in pillars, that is the question. You can, and you don't have to. You can sell them on the idea of the pillars without even saying that your process. So it's like if you're talking about prioritization, you can share about like the problem solution and not talk about your process and just share about the result. So the way that like the pillars and process work is like you can omit some if you need to. You can also like you can go in or like so like the three options would be to go in order if you're looking for just like a very simple way to do it. You can also omit pieces or you can rearrange them. So one of the cool things for me is like it's like have you ever wanted if you want to start with the result, have you ever wanted more time on your hands and have no idea where you're gonna find it? I I it's because you need to reprioritize your schedule. A lot of people take on things, they don't realize what they're doing, and that's why I teach this time management protocol that's going to help you. Sign up to book a consult here.
Mhm.
So, if you want to follow a structure, you can go in order. If you feel like you're like, I want to kind of play around with it. I want to like get curious about like how can I say my number one question with marketing is how can I say this in a compelling way that people will listen? This in a compelling way that people will listen and position myself in authority. Like, what am I going to be like? How can I be like, this is awesome? This is like, it's like, yes, it's like, are you a business leader? Here's the thing you need to know. You know what I mean? So we want to, that was like a lot to give you about
No,
this.
it's good.
I also want to come back to the webinar in a second.
That's good.
I'm so glad Jess said it was
Yeah.
super helpful.
Yeah. No, and I'd forgotten about that actually, because I know we spoke about it before and I heard it on Stacey Bowman's podcast as well.
Mhm.
And I kind of, it's really helpful. Thank you. Last thing, this is a real technical thing. So I'm doing all
Yep.
my lead generation stuff. And last week it was really interesting about your analysis of time spent on Instagram and then getting consults versus webinars and doing more kind of networking and looking at the numbers there. So knowing that knowing that, would you recommend really being quite disciplined and not spending more than half an hour a day on doing that kind of and really kind of like say, no, you've done enough. Now actually go and meet people, go meet humans.
You mean 30 minutes of like meeting new people and then you're like, oh, you've done enough of that? Or do you mean
old stuff like the scrolling through other people's followers, doing the whole kind of like
Yep.
going on this, doing that, which is fine, but I think what my brain is saying is like knowing that actually it only gets like 1%. It's there for value, it's there for exposure, but knowing that actually don't stress about it, don't waste longer than half an hour a day. Spend time writing my webinar or getting out and networking and actually seeing humans, writing articles.
Yes, I would say that. So I think the question, it just means to rephrase it to make sure I'm getting it right, is that like spend 30 minutes or and then get to doing other revenue generating activities. I would say my other perspective on that is just get 10 people. Talk to 10 people. Have a conversation with 10 people. That would be a better I think it's going to be a stronger indicator for you to be like, okay, I've talked with this many people. You could do that in 10 minutes. You might take you an hour. But that would be the other perspective. I also realize that like you guys might not have access to a lot of public accounts, right? It might be like a situation where somebody follows you, they might be liking stuff, but they are private and so you can't access them. Actually, I was talking with Adriana about this. It's because is a sobriety coach, and Anise and her are friends as well. So within that, if that's the kind of situation, then we just have to get like creative and think about, okay, how can I find a group of people that are not and do some positioning there? I'm actually doing my whole post about this tomorrow, is all about, okay, so are there organizations that I could join and I could be a leader and I could have access to them that way? Like for me, when I was doing general coaching, I do remember it was difficult to find like some thumbs up. It was difficult to sometimes find different like people to follow for careers. So that's when I learned this skill, it was in a program called Online Coach Accelerator, and it was with Rachel Bell. She's discontinued the program since, but she was like, go find people, get to know them. And I felt like I did that, and I would also find other places where I could market myself. So I did that I would follow Core Power, the yoga place I went to. I would go to this like if you go back to that presentation on lead gen, I did that. I got my 10, but then I also was like, I would like this to work faster. So that's when I started doing presentations at NC State. I started doing presentations for women's organizations. I got out of my audience and also got out of my audience and the social media audience, and I started positioning myself and then reaching out to people in that form. So it just is something for everybody. If you're like, okay, it feels weird. That's also just a good thing. If you feel weird about like going on to social media, find somebody where they already are, offer to do a collaboration, and then that could also be really helpful. And if you go back to my Instagram, like way back, I'm sharing about this again today. Oh, Patty. I was like, she's one of my first clients. But if you go all the way back through the reels, it'll actually show the collaborations I did as well. And you can see I met with a dating coach. I did one with someone who did adventure retreats and things like that. And I just like you guys could do, if you find that one of your like subsets of people is a really good like pairing, then you guys can do some together as well.
Okay.
That's actually how I did it. I was in a group with my coach, Jackie, and there were a lot of yogis, but I'm like, hey, yoga people need coaching. All right. She's her business is the Yoga Boss. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna utilize what I got. When I joined 2K, I was like, okay. I was like, I'll figure it out, you know? So it's like if you need ideas for that also, let me know and we can brainstorm some other cool places that you can find people. But until then, do that 10 people a day. See if anybody has trouble finding the 10 people a day, if you're encountering that kind of stuff, please let me know and we can problem solve it.
And they're 10 cold leads, aren't they? 10 new generation. They're not warm.
Depends. I would say for you, depending on your audience size, if you already have a big audience, I would spend 3 days. It could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 days, or Tuesday, Thursday. I would spend 3 days on current warm leads, and I would do 2 days on cold. If you have a smaller audience and you're like, oh my God, I'm running out of humans, then I would spend 3 days on cold and 2 days on warm/current.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
One last question. Sorry, luckily people are saying this, really liking this on the chat, so it's helpful.
I'm glad it's helping.
I have a real aversion against Facebook.
Okay.
Well, partly because it keeps kicking me out, so that really pisses me off. But
Why does it keep picking you out? Oh no.
I used to do adverts on it, and then
Oh, yep.
it gets really pissy. Anyway, so I've now, I don't know, I don't even know, I don't even know if I can get onto it, but I'm going to, I have to just lie about my identity. But no, LinkedIn's good. LinkedIn's really good. I'm warm there. I'm posting twice a week on LinkedIn.
I adore you.
Facebook, because I'm getting much more into my pillars now, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to become an expert. I'm going to read every single bloody book on all of these 4 pillars. Exactly. I'm really getting the bit between my teeth now. Like I like these. So I'm now feeling a bit more like I can go into, like you said, go into a group and, about time management, stress resilience, decision-making, communication, blah, blah, blah. Before I lose my way in the maze of Facebook, what's your tip to keep my sanity?
Okay. So what I would do is I literally, my post yesterday was like just one group at a time. Okay. I want you, and this is exactly what I did when I was doing career coaching. I was like, find what are your three potential jobs? What are like so it's like, okay, so I would say for you, big three categories. So being like, okay, I could probably help people who are founders.
Yeah.
I like if there's a Facebook group for founders, if they call themselves that, go for it. I could also probably help people who are um like if there's an entrepreneurial Facebook, or and I could help people that are like if there's a small business Facebook group. So it's
Okay.
like those are like probably three for you. And again, if anybody needs help coming up with ideas, you know I've got you. And what you do is I would take like no more than 30 minutes,
Okay.
10 minutes for each, find a group for each of these bad boys,
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
and then join them. It's like find one group for each subset. And then it might have to be a bit of a process. You might get into the group and you might be like, I don't know if this is for me. Like I will tell you some of the entrepreneurial ones are mostly people who are trying to sell their own business. So it's like if you do small business owners in Europe, your UK, it's like whatever, like that could be a better outlet because that might just be a community versus a selling group. So you might have
Yes.
to play around with it, figure out a little bit, and then you can go and see and just be like, okay, that could also count if you go into a group. I would say that like you could add that as an alternative. You could be like, okay, I'm also going to spend another 30 minutes. I would say still talk to people, still have that one-on-one conversation. But if you want to add this is again, if you've mastered the talking to 10 people a day, you're feeling great about that. If you want to add one more thing, you can also spend 30 minutes commenting if you find a solid group, or you can offer to do a presentation
Okay.
to the leader.
Okay.
But again, be cautious. These ones, a lot of times it is like for me, I would love like it's like if there's someone who is doing something that I don't know anything about. For instance, the person who's running my ads, her name's Krista, and she is potentially like going to come and we she actually wants to talk about like other things with you guys, but like that's a great collaboration with me. She wants to teach you how to use like either ads or like other things. For anyone who Christina, I had never used Chat GPT, and I just added that at the bottom on guest speakers if you want to see her replay and she did a whole training video. She's super sweet, and she has a bunch of other questions here about like she had it. Oh, this was the questions for it, but she like talked about producing copy, making things sound like your own, like how to add hashtags, like all that good stuff. All of that's here at the bottom, and I had never used chat, so I was like, great. I've never done I've done a podcast, but I was never did the tech behind it. That's why Allison came. I finances with my accountant. I clearly am learning a lot about that. I gave you my base knowledge, but there's a lot to learn. And then Tammy's going to be here eventually. I don't know how to I didn't know how to SEO optimize a website. That's from Sydney. And Jules just a connection coach. And I was like, we need to talk about how to make networking less awkward. So that's down there too. So think about who is like, this is where one of my good friends, Olivia, talks about going to a business adjacent and like commenting on their hashtags and stuff like that. And I like that. I think it takes so long. Like, my God, if I were to just go into hashtags and try and find related people, I'd be like, what is happening? But if I were to go in and like, I would just ask people directly, be like, hey, I would love to do a presentation. I think time management could be helpful for your people. Would you be open to doing a collab on that or something else? If not, that's totally fine too.
No, thank you. That's really helpful.
Of course. I know I think that was like a lot, but I think these are like key things that you guys are probably had been on your mind. And I'm so glad you brought that today. So
Thank
of course. Oh my gosh, of course.
you.
Like,
Slipped into English accent just then.
now really quick. I was like, the thing I wanted to come back to, which webinar? Okay. I want you to think of a jazzy title. And I think it'd be cool for you, put that in the chat before we leave. Actually, no, stay focused on, it depends, but I want you to think about like between stress and decision making. And then I want you to like think about what you did those posts about. What would be like a next level for it? And I would recommend it, just adding to whatever reels you already did, having something really big come to this webinar. You don't have to redo them, but in the future, I do actually talk about the webinar title in my reels. So like if you look back, I actually didn't, but it's like, yeah, so you can just do something like this and have it like, and I totally gave her the wrong audio and it totally worked out and it's fine.
Mhm.
It's like-
Perfect.
That's fun.
Thank you so much, love. It's great.
Of course. Of course. And if you need any feedback, any help making the script, bring it next week. We got you. All right, Tammy,
Thank you.
win and then roll in.
That was so helpful, Anise. Thank you for like all the questions. I'm sitting here going, this is so good. Um,
So good.
yes. So, okay. My win is actually, I created a couple different survey forms on Google. And one of them was to collect information from clients who are going through the process with me. And I sent it out today to one of my clients. And then the other one is I created an onboarding one so that so like I have two offers. The first one is my 6 month, the second one is my Budget Blast 6 week intense focus. So it allows me to offer, if it's a good fit, it allows me to phase in, you know, like, hey, you're doing 6 months and I know money has come up. So let's, you know, this would be my next step for you. Or, you know what I mean? And then it even
Yep.
allows me to offer a bundle where it's like, buy both of these instead of paying X thousand, we're going to save you some money. We're going to get you out. You know what I mean? So then it's
Love
like, it gives that platform to be able to speak to them based on what they shared with me. And it just
Yes.
feels strategic.
Freaking awesome. What can I coach you on? I'm like, let's go.
That being said, I am still okay. So for some reason, it's easy for me to do the budget, and it's easy for me to do the like the money stuff, the debt collection stuff, the judgment and garnishment stuff for people. It is still challenging for me to offer just focusing on the mindset stuff. So like I feel like there are blocks there. I sat with it. You know what I mean? And I'm still I'm stuck because I feel like once I knock that, like once I get
Once you
it,
figure it out,
it's gonna be
sold.
easy. Because
So,
like
mhm. One of the
because I've been
things,
able to tell mindset coaching, like when I get them on a call, it's like I'll be talking to them and then it'll kind of drop in my spirit. Oh, they really need da 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 da. And like my pitch to them is always using their words for what they were struggling with, which makes it easy for me to just, well, I was going to do Budget Blast, but you really need 6 months. So we're going to do 6 months and I'll sprinkle Budget Blast in there. And by the end of it, you've got the whole kit and caboodle.
wait, hold. Literally all we need, I think that what you're saying is it's still challenging to focus on mindset with marketing. Is that what you mean?
I think so. I think it's, and I'm, so like I find myself looking at what everyone else is doing to see how they're talking about it and stuff. And then I kind of, oh, they're already doing it. Or, you know, like I find myself going, oh, well, where are my ideas? Like I like budgeting, I could go gangbusters on, but when it comes to mindset stuff, because it's very different for me to talk about. But it's funny because it's like once they get on a discovery call, 70 to 80% closing ratio. My problem is I'm not booking any calls because I'm not putting myself out there for that.
Yep. I was like, that's literally was like, okay, so literally all I'm hearing is the marketing. Marketing just means exactly what you just said, putting yourself out there, right? So
Mhm.
when we're thinking about this in that way, the first thing is, of course, always protect the profit. You know this, we talked about this last week, but like
Yeah.
get the budget, people, make the money you need to. Focus on what you excel at. And then we're challenging you to grow. So it's like, if you feel good about doing something, I don't want just because you came in here and I know that like this is your calling. I know that you feel like a deep purpose to the resilient life. I know that it's a big piece for you, However, I don't want you to sacrifice sales because you're trying to learn how to sell it. I would just like to do both. So I would love to, like I said last week, sell the budget, get to a place where you were like, I feel good about my income, and then you can change the marketing. I want to see, because I think we talked about like a number, I totally forget, but I'm like, how many clients were you able to bring in some clients so we could start to learn the skill of this? It's a different skill. So it's going to
Yeah.
be different.
Yeah.
As do you get a
Not
chance to cover them?
when you say cover, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
Cover your so it's like what we want to do is we want to cover, I think you said like 5 clients and you'd feel good, and then you could just focus on bringing in more of these mindset people.
Yeah, so like ideally to get where I want to get, like if I just sign 10 budget blasts a month, that's 10 hours of work, like, I mean,
Yep.
to show up and do. And then it's like, if I'm signing that many, it'd be easy for me to see who I could switch to a group environment with that to collapse the time. But like if I'm doing 10 a month, that's I'd be very happy with that. And
That
then
income, and then you can work on selling the resilient.
that would give me cushion to be able
Yes.
to suck and be okay with sucking at marketing, and the more I do it, the better I get, and that kind of thing.
Precisely. Literally, that is why I launched last week. That is exactly why I launched. I was like, I have a cushion. I'm good financially. I need to learn how to sell on a webinar. I knew that my skill set, we know that your skill set is this is going to help your profit long term. We know that this is going to be what, and also what you want to do, your purpose, like what you feel called to talk about. So I could, like, how to sell budget and marketing. So I want you to focus, learn how to do this after you do the 10 budget blasts. That still gives you, if you're working 120 hours a week, if you could just do, like, if you could just post with a link on your story and be like, budget blast, 10 spots every month, have it in your story, maybe after you are learning some of the, like, the messiness of learning how to sell in a different way with your marketing, get those 10 people going, right? Easy for you. And then start learning the skill of transitioning. That's exactly why I did what I did. Because I was like, this is going to be different. I'm learning how to sell an offer that is a different price. It is a group offer versus a one-on-one offer. And I want to give myself every chance I possibly can this month to make that happen. So that's exactly why I chose to then learn how to sell in like last week very quickly. I was like, it was just kind of like my coach was like, you should learn how to do this. And I was like, okay. And she was like, next week. And I said, sounds great. Let's go. So within this, first off, how does that land? I think that's still a good plan for you. I want you to make sure that you're not like just throwing out budget blast completely. So you actually have money coming in for sure. And then we can work on selling the resilient life.
Yeah, I think like it's like the low-hanging fruit to me. And
Yep.
even still, I know, like
I know. Well, we've transitioned your thoughts. We just haven't transitioned them all the way. So you're in the river of learning how to sell something short term, low price, low commitment, to transition to selling higher commitment, higher cost, revenue generating. So
Right.
that's the transition that you're learning how to do in your marketing. That's why you're like, it feels challenging. Of course, it's something completely different. It's 2 different skill sets. So that's why it's tricky. And we still, of course, know that this is the bigger bang for your buck long term, is to sell the higher ticket, higher price, longer term offer. We know that that's definitely going to be better, but I also don't want you to try and learn how to sell the thing that's better and totally just like forget about making any money at all. So that's where we've got that. How is that feeling for you? And then I've got some ideas for this too.
Okay. Yeah, I think that lands better. I think then it's just kind of like me coming up with the story slides of who's it for, how will it benefit them, what is and I just do that. I kind of like doing it in stories because then I can just get those up every week, and then from there build out my deeper talk on my pillars and kind of say, hey, Pete, my stories for the special or whatever.
Literally, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Exactly. This is exactly what I'm saying. So Now, so it's like, we know the skill of this, continue, don't just stop the skill of selling something like the small offer, the to protect the profit, get those low hanging fruit. And this is, I'm glad that you asked this because I want to just clear this for everybody. If you're good at something and I'm telling you something different, something that if you're like, I am a master of this and I tell you, here's an alternative, it's for your future. I'm like seeing the bigger picture. And also don't just like throw something out because I said something. Like, just, we want to also keep this. The other ad is like, which I know like makes sense, but I like, for me, when I was told something from someone who I respect a lot, I decided to change a lot of things that were already working. And it like, it put me in I want you to have that like slingshot effect of like actually like having I want it to just be continuous momentum versus a slingshot. So essentially, like, I was told to switch things around and it helped me bring it around. Like, it took me a little bit of time and then now it's of course worked. But I want to just keep your momentum steady and then just add it. So it's like we're just keeping the momentum, the 10 people, and we're adding these other people. So it's just like this, if that makes sense. So from here, when you say it's challenging to just focus on the mindset, but as soon as you get to the pitch, you're good. This is the skill. You're just learning how to do that with all of your reels and all of your marketing. Now this is a skill, but I would love for you to use like 100, if you can, as the largest percentage, whether it's just like 51% or if it's like 100% of your marketing to learn how to sell this. Learn how to sell the bigger offer, bigger ticket, bigger time commitment, learning how to sell that in your marketing, and do that by doing exactly whatever you're saying on the consult is what you need to be saying in the marketing. And being like, you think that it's like, I know that you think finances are the problem, and they're a huge piece of the problem for sure. But what is happening because of those finances? There's a ripple effect that you don't see. It's affecting your relationships. It's affecting this. It's affecting that. That's the bigger picket. That's the bigger issue here. And that's what I'm here to solve. I'm Tammy. I founded this program called The Resilient Life to teach you how to do this. And it's going to be, because you need to sell yourself on the longer ticket and longer price and all those things being better for them. It's like, you're not just going to get me once. You're going to get me for 6 whole months in your brain, in your business, in your like personal life business, like not actually like in a business. If they have a business, like, yeah, great. But it's like you're going to have me in your pocket. I'm going to know everything that's going on in your whole life, and we can reset within the Resilient Life program. I would love to have you join us here. Let's fucking go. So if you can use more of your marketing, and I'm not saying it has to be all of it, but I would love for you to start transitioning, learn how to sell it. You know how to market. It's just marketing something new. So if you can take what you're already doing, amplify that, move it towards 100, doesn't have to be right away. Translate anything you're saying on a consult call. Do you record them by chance?
I have them recorded. They go, but like the funny thing is like they go all over the place just because like I'll get hits in my spirit of no, I need to be asking these questions way over here versus what I was asking. So I completely, yeah, there's not like if a $1 million coach was listening, she'd be like, you are weird.
Oh, but the thing is, it's like what if you could channel that same feeling that you get? We just need to ask for you to have that in your marketing. We just need to have that. Like, it's like, if you feel called to do this, there's a reason. It's like, I think that this is what you're supposed to be doing. And so we just want to take that and we want to be like, okay, what do I need to say? What do I need to translate the selling into the marketing? Tell me, like, can I get an inkling there too? It's like, that's why like a hint, a sign, a shift, whatever you're feeling for said marketing or for on the consult, you can channel that for your marketing too.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it would like what you said earlier of like when you said, yeah, the mindset stuff, the higher ticket item, I'm like, okay, I can do this. No, I can't.
Yep.
Oh,
It's like, so then that's the work. That is, then you do sell yourself every day. Why a higher ticket longer? It's like, I would say, and this goes for anybody learning how to sell something new. If you ever change your offer, if you want to change your pricing, all of the above, you want to sell yourself every day. It was so funny. I had a consult today and I, like literally right before this, that's why I didn't have a chance to munch yet. And it like I literally every day I still was like, but wait, is it worth 12K? And I was like, where is this coming from, brain? I'm like, oh my God. So it was like 5 reasons, and I think we've talked about this before, but like 5 reasons why a longer time and a more expensive offer is better. And you can fill in the blank for them, for you, and for your business growth overall.
Mhm.
And you can list like 5 for them, 5 for you, 5 for the business. You can do 1 for them. Like you can plug and play. But I think this would be good for everybody. Just even if you feel sold on your offer today, our brains will brain so hard and they are just going to fight you and it's fine. It's like just know that like if you like lose getting sold on your offer, the more you can consistently think a thought, the more you're going to have a better thought pattern and it's going to just be easier to sell. I just brought up the belief triad. You'll be selling yourself your offer, the customer. But then I was like, great questions. I feel like this is like, oh, I just love coaching you guys so much. It's so fun. How are you feeling now? Are you feeling complete? Any other questions about? And along with that, I don't know where, I just maybe need to start a new group message between all of us. But what I would love to like start posting in the, where is that? Posting in here and we can see you and I can start to be like, hey, I love this. Here's an idea here. Hey, I'm seeing the resilient life. Like it's like I hear the way you're selling it. Here's an idea for you. So feel free to add that there too.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like it's almost like this burden was let off that I don't just have to focus on the mindset stuff when I'm like really at peace with the doing the budget blast and like the one-on-one consults. Like yesterday someone messaged me and they're like, "Hey, I have a couple questions." I'm like, "Great."
Consult.
Let it sounds exact whereas it used to be before I would just start answering their questions because it was so easy for me.
Yes. That's a
Right.
great shift already.
Then yeah, so then they were like, "Oh, okay." And I ended up with a 3-minute text message conversation, ended up booking a paid consult. So it's just taking that strategy and putting it into this, refocusing, making sure I have my cushion, which is my 10 budget blasts. And then from there, once I've got them, then it's like, then it gives me that space to focus on and practice with the mindset stuff. And then I can pull what I put in my bio to create the content from in
Like
there.
1,000,000%. You just reset it perfectly.
Okay.
You're gonna crush this. And I can't wait to watch. I'm like very excited for your people too. Awesome. Thank you so much for, if you have any other questions, if you want me to look over posts and you're like, does this make any sense at all? I'll be like, yeah, I got you. So
you.
awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Jess, start off with a win. Give us some info. How you doing?
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it's a win. I recorded a podcast with somebody back in August and it went live today, which was really exciting. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but yeah, that is super cool.
Love it.
And my personal win is that I got back to my workout routine last week. It's been a while, and that felt really, really good. So feeling like I'm getting a bit of a handle on my new schedule. So that's nice.
Amazing. Especially with this new job. Like,
Yeah,
let's
things
go.
are a little crazy.
Yep, I bet. It was like, if that's what you need some coaching on, bring it or anything else.
Yeah, so I have so many notes from everybody else's coaching, which has been amazing. But I do think that for me right now, I'm struggling to like I know how many hours I have in the day. I feel like I'm maybe still underestimating the time things take a little bit. And I'm in my brain, I'm telling myself that I need to like maybe hire someone to help me with the like tasky things because what I'm noticing is that it's really kind of stifling my creativity. I financially don't know if that's possible at this moment. It might be in a couple of weeks, but I feel like I lost some traction. I was kind of posting pretty regularly, and then that first 2 weeks of this new job, I kind of fell off a little bit. So I have two specific questions about posting, and I just haven't had a chance to go back into our previous calls and look yet. But we're talking a lot about last week about the algorithm and like talking about the same topic so that it picks it up.
Mhm.
When you talk about posting 3 times about the same thing, is that like, I know we had talked about like a static, a reel, and a story. Is that all happening in the same day? And then you're doing a separate topic on a, like, let's say I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday is all about one thing. Wednesday's all about one thing. Friday's all about one thing. Or is it the whole week? And I'm just doing a reel, a static, and a story throughout. I guess I just got kind of lost on that process.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking this clarifying question. And I want to answer this and just do real quick come back. The loss of attraction. I just don't think that's a thought that will serve any human ever. So if you feel like you're behind, if there's anything like that, we still, everything that you've done up until this point is compounding in your favor. Every single thing that you do will always compound. If you have to take time off because you had to, there is no point in beating yourself off after like taking 2 weeks after you start a new job. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to like give you a quick shift there. It's like I am regaining momentum, or it's like I'm adding to the momentum I already had, something like that, just to reframe to your brain to be like, okay, we totally like we've done an awesome job of posting up until like 2 weeks ago, and we're just gonna get in continue to get more in the swing of things.
Okay.
To say it in a positive way. With the post, the same topic or pillar is exactly what we want to talk about a week. Within that, for instance, this week I'm talking about more leads, how to bring more leads in. So I would talk about the cold leads. I was like, for my post for that one, is like 7 months no consult sucked. Like in my first year, I realized that I had to adjust my plan. I had to continue what I was doing and add something new. So that was about like what I did today. Is like I called it the sustainable growth strategy. And I'm just giving you my example.
Okay.
I did a post about that. And because I do have somebody supporting me, I did do a post about that yesterday. Yeah, like literally like, so it's like transformation doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes reevaluating and recalibrating our strategies. And then
Okay.
this is the exact same post that I just made shorter.
Yeah.
And I took like 5 sentences and put it here. Then
Okay.
tomorrow is going to be about to get more leads. You might need to do something outside of your, like get outside of your current audience. And it's going to be all about presentations. So again,
Okay.
this is my personal story. 7 months. So that people can hear that like the reason why I teach lead lead management is because I experienced it and I struggled with it. And it's kind of like the hero's journey to be like,
Yeah.
I figured it out and so can you.
Okay.
Motivational, not really like it's kind of like my philosophy. You could think about it, my mindset around things and or like just like being relatable.
Hmm.
Like you can be like comment like your struggle in the bottom, but the call to action is more so about just building a relationship. For this one, this is going to be like a tip or a trick. I want people if they're like, I am same, I was there 7 months, no consults.
Right.
I
What
want
do I
them
do?
to, what the fuck do I do? So I'm gonna be like, do presentations. That's a new way that you can get leads. That's going to be something that you want to keep in mind. And then for my hot, I want to do a testimonial and bonus points if I can weave in lead gen here. But also it's
Okay.
just more so about like I get results. Hey, I get results. Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but like I get results. Like my people get results. That's what that's for. And literally Morgan, one of my clients in the mastermind in the morning, she shared this openly with that group. I think she'd be okay with me sharing this with you guys too. But her partner came on the follow up and was like, "Hey, I want to just like double check." And I had the same conversation with him. And he was like, "Last thing, sounds great. Do you have any testimonials?" And I was like, "Well, here's Demetria, Adriana, Roma, Devin, Janet." I was like, "Ask any of them. It's every third post. Missy, you can ask them. All of you guys. It's like ask them about their experience. Feel free to add that." And like, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. They bought on the spot.
Okay.
That's why this is so important.
Okay. So just a kind of follow up to that. I guess I'm struggling with the testimonial piece because like paid clients, I have not had a lot. I have a lot of conversations and interactions with people and have, I think, given value from this coaching kind of standpoint to a lot of people. What do you recommend when you don't have a lot of backlog of clients to get testimonials?
Ah, okay. I thought it was a different question. I was like, this is why assumptions make an ass out of you and me. So I was like, you know what I mean? I'm like, because I was like, I thought we were going in a different direction. So how to get testimonials when you don't have testimonials? Great question. Any like I'll try and find it. It was from a while ago. One of my clients felt comfortable writing a testimonial. Actually, Amy. I was like, Amy was a good one. She talked about her experience with me, wrote this beautiful testimonial, did not record a video. So
Yeah.
there are 3 different levels of testimonials. I would say the best, like the greatest one is when you can get a video.
Yeah.
Now, the people that are giving you a video, they just want to see that you get results. They do not need to see that they did your exact program. They just want to see they worked with you and they felt better. Right?
Okay.
So if you can get a video, that's awesome. Another way that you can get a video, just an idea, is you can do some collaborative Instagram lives. And like if they're like, oh, it's like I feel weird about sharing it. I did that at the beginning. They were like, I want to share, but I've never made a video before. I was like, I can just ask you the questions if you don't mind coming live. They were like, sure. And I was like, awesome. So that's
Okay.
another addition. I have done testimonials for people who I've never worked with and done their programs. Like Melissa Parsons, I did one for her. I did one for Olivia Vizzacro. Like I've done it for like lots of people who I just like know of. And I'm like, hey, it's like, I love you. And so fun fact, in this group, if you are someone who doesn't have any testimonials and you have made a relationship, you could either do like 30 minutes and be like, can you coach me on something for 30 minutes so I can just say about the result? Or you could
Yeah.
literally just tell your friends, like, I just love you and I'm going to give you a testimonial. That's like, that's what we have this group for, is like, so you can collaborate with fellow peers. Another idea is that if somebody does actually give you a testimonial, again, doesn't have to be for working with you for the full time, and they feel comfortable with their face and you using their name, it's like picture would be great. And you can just read their testimonial with you add the picture. It's like on the reels. Like, so you just like add the picture,
Mm-hmm.
and you record video talking about the results. The third best way is getting just saying my client, like either first name, pick name would be like the next level. And then you can also just be like you still want to be sharing. It's like, let me tell you about what my client experienced. And within that, you can just get like, you can say a quote from the coaching session, like Demetria,
Mm.
and you can just pull that and that can be the picture here. And then like, this is her video, but I could have just
Yeah.
had a video, or you could just say, results from 6-figure systems could be like the little tagline.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's helpful.
Amazing.
I'm curious where you thought the conversation was going to go, because maybe it needs to go there.
Okay. I was like, if you are the question I was thinking you would have is more, I think I was like, I actually just realized that like I put the word test. I was like, what did I type?
You were typing
Oh,
something like continuing the conversation or moving the
oh
conversation.
yes, thank you.
Something.
You are an ADHD angel. So within this, it's like, I was like, I need to bring more of this. It's funny. One of my clients was like, you need to bring more of this personality to social. And I was like, I totally do. Cause I was like, I coach people like this. I was like,
Yeah.
it's like, I can't be like, anyways, it's been a struggle since the beginning, but learning, growing, getting better. Within the continuing the conversation forward, a lot of you're like, I'm having good conversations. But like, it's not going anywhere. Like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, we've met. It's great. I would like for you to, if you guys are starting to do that, that means you've had enough conversations as to where you know enough about that person to give them an option to opt into something. You
Okay.
can be like, this would be, and an opt-in is just a question. And you want to be asking questions that can move the conversation forward to them eventually working with you. So now that you got to know people, you can be like, okay, it's like, so I was actually like talking with one of my clients about this, and I was wondering, like, I know that like everyone's talking about like resolutions this year, and like I wanted to know, do you have any resolutions? Like moving forward, are you a goal setter? Do you want to move forward with goals? That is a great way, like, and just
Yeah.
ask a question about and make it, you can make it pillar related or something that's pillar adjacent.
Okay.
So you can think about like that. And then you can give them another being like, hey, it's like this is why like creating some of those like tip trick reels and things like that are really helpful. It's like I just did a post about that. Oh my God, let me send you this. It's like, how's
Yeah.
it going for you? You can leave it open-ended. It's like, do you so there are two forms of questions. I've been learning about this from this book called Spin Selling. And there's open questions and then
Mhm.
there's closed questions. Any in either one, they're actually both great. There isn't scientific data that goes to show which is better. However, for the DM conversations, I like to start with closed questions first and move up from there. Like,
Okay.
who do you help? This is good for everybody. It's like, I'd be like, okay, tell me about your business. Who do you help? If you're like, okay, where do you work? Something that's easily answered, that's like not like
Yeah.
any like brain taking. I would say start with the question or start with the closed questions. I'm numbering them here, and then move them into more open-ended questions, and then do the opt-in and be like, oh, by the way, I like, it's like, tell me about, it's like, then open, it's like, how has that been for you? That been like, closed would be an example, would be like, where do you work? It's like, move the
Yeah.
conversation towards the opt-in. And this could be a post, webinar, freebie, Facebook group, like literally anything. But
Mhm.
just moving
Okay.
forward. And then eventually, if you're like, oh my God, I like, there's no pressure at all. But then you could even do like the opt-in of like, oh, and by the way, it's like, I literally just helped someone with that last week. It's like, you just let me know if you want to do a consult and I've got you. And that can
Yeah.
be like the other in.
Okay.
But that's only if you
Okay.
feel like they are hot. And they're like, I have never, unless somebody directly asks, like, okay, can you tell me what it's like to like work with you? It's like, get it, or like what Tammy said, if they're just asking a ton of questions and being like, okay, this is just like, it's like, I actually feel like if you just want to hop on a consult, we can just talk through all of that. Like, that could also be a good in. But
Okay.
usually, so for me personally, I did not have a warm audience when I started my business. Like, it was like a bunch of people that just had no idea who I was. And I was like, okay, you have no idea who I am. So it took me a while for people to actually start asking me questions, literally like up until last year. Last year was the first, after 2 years of doing this shit, that's the first time I started actually getting people who
Yeah.
I didn't seek. And I was like, I will find you. And like, I did the work for it, but it was like, it might take a while and that's okay. You might have a hotter audience than I did. Mine was cool. So I
Yeah.
started to learn the skill.
I feel like mine's pretty cool.
Mhm.
I also like to kind of circle back to the conversation you were having with Anise on like where to find the people. Not something we have to get into right now, but I'm definitely struggling with like where like what groups, the coaching you gave her was super helpful, and so I'm going to take that and kind of start from there as far as like pick your groups and then find a group that associates with each of those. But I sometimes feel like I'm just like analysis paralysis. I'm like, this is not, like this sounds good, but like, should I do that? That doesn't sound like the best plan. Like then I go back and forth between a bunch of different things and then I'm not doing anything.
Yep. Let's just do this real quick. I was like, where do you live?
St. Pete, Florida.
Okay. Boom. That they might have a group there where you could do a presentation too.
Mm-hmm.
What about, are you a part of a gym? I know wellness is a piece of yours, right?
I'm part of a yoga studio.
Boom. Give
Okay.
me, do you like there's a restaurant group that's offline that I reached out to, or you could even do like a place you got certified, things like that. Anything like that, like any third place that you could do.
So I'm working on a strategy to put together presentations for chiropractic offices.
Hell yes. Okay. So Cairo offices. So these would be the accounts. Again, find one, talk to them, then you
Okay.
find another, or just keep going back to the same ones. I went back to Core Power every like Tuesday. I went to the offline group and I went to the life coach school. Those are like my go-to three.
Okay.
You could do four if you want. For the Facebook groups, who is your ideal? Who would be a good person for your program?
New moms
I was
that
literally
are trying to transition, to motherhood, maybe staying in career, maybe moving out of career. I also would say, women that are like transitioning into potentially like the teenage years with their children or empty nest type of stuff. They're basically the points at which you're having to create or discover the new version of yourself.
yes. So, and I would say that these are three different like group subsets: teen moms,
Yep.
transition moms. So the way I just thought about it, and I've never said it in this way before, but I think this is helpful. If you're thinking about accounts, you want to think things that are related to you that you can make a connection. Oh, I got a core power too. Let's talk about yoga together. Oh, by the way, it's like and then they start seeing your stuff and then you build a relationship there. Those are going to be things that are related to you. You're already doing something and you can do collabs with. Within the ideal client related, that would be, it's like, I would say this
Where
would
to
be like,
find them.
yep. Great
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad you said that. Like, yes, this is the ticket. I was like, that's how I did it. I was like, and I really didn't even do the Facebook groups, but I wish I had. I feel like it would have been so much easier, but
Yeah, I'm going back and forth between whether or not I want to focus energy on Facebook groups or if I want to focus on LinkedIn. I still have a lot of reservations on LinkedIn. I'm working through this, the
Literally-
imposter syndrome stuff and all of that, just like Denise was talking about, like,
yes.
because I've had such a significant professional life outside of this work, and this work is not something I've talked about in those places, but I do know from like an ideal client standpoint, I think I'm going to find them on LinkedIn because they're struggling with like, how do I manage all of it?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And then, so what I would say, always do easiest circumstance, go with that. Start
Mhm.
there, build up your confidence, learn how to
Yeah.
talk about it. Just literally what I was saying to Tammy. Learn how to talk about it in a place that feels easy. So
Got it. Okay.
she kind of like she feels good about marketing to that thing. So that's where you start. Then coach yourself on LinkedIn for the future.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. I like that.
Yes. So good.
It feels doable.
You got this. And if you have
Okay.
questions, you've got us.
And I would love, I'll share the link to the podcast I was on in the stream. I would love it whenever you guys have time, if you would give it a listen and give me some feedback. I
Yeah.
really would like to market myself as a podcast guest because I super love having really great conversations. So yeah, but just, I would love your support and feedback. Thank
Hell
you.
yeah. And I think that we talked about that last week, like here for the podcast and things like that. So Did we talk about that or is that the other group? I just need to combine you guys. I'm like, you guys would love each other. Be so fun. I will
that would
send
be
you what they
fun.
have.
Like
was
a
like,
little
great.
combo.
I fun fact, it's where it's shifting. So keep an eye out for the future. But love this. So damn good. Trying to figure out how to transition my business as well. And in the meantime, Sharon, hit us up with a win.
Okay, so my win is I've scheduled various networking events to attend in February.
Awesome. What you want some coaching on?
So my coaching is I want to come up with a plan.
Let's come up with a plan.
Okay, so here's twofold. One is, let's start with the networking events. So one thing that I've been doing is I think focusing on making offers, and because I meet a lot of people and you follow up with them and things like that, but it's making offers, telling them you can help them, that type of thing. I did go through a little bit, and this is something Nise and I worked on a little bit, is took the pillars that currently have like working with stress and burnout, which is emotional management protocol, time management, prioritizations, my different pillars. And then learning how to use different languages in order to, when you first meet somebody, like when they ask you what you do, somewhere I could say, like, I'm an ex-project manager turned career fulfillment coach. Now I help people prioritize their time by re-engineering their schedules. So it's just the language there. And so I'm being comfortable with whatever, like, I always look at it, I always tend to put it back in their court first to find out what they do. And then I align with what my pillars are in order to how I can help them and create it. That way I'm more relatable.
Mhm.
So since I'm going to these events, working on those various key elements to networking, just to be, I'm looking at how to make that stronger, like all the opportunities that you are in. Like I'm going to it's a group that's getting together for the day before Valentine's Day. And so there's going to be a lot of, it's more of a social setting. There's going to be mocktails and all that kind of stuff. But then as you're meeting people and visiting with them, just to kind of get stronger to where you're making offers to help them. So that's one part of it. So the networking events are scheduled. Now it's just taking more, making more opportunity. How do I say, making
The most of the opportunities.
most
that you
of the opportunity. Yes, correct.
I got you. So what I would love for you to do, this is something I taught my another one of my clients, become friends with the leaders. Thank
Yes.
them. Connect with them. Let them know you for the first one. The second time, be like, also, it's like I was talking with a bunch of these people at the last event and I realized that they're really struggling with stress. I was like wondering if I could do just like a super quick presentation or I could take a like if you want me to do a presentation on this, I would be so like it's something I help all my clients with and I would love to do that for you guys too. Might take 1, 2, or like 10 conversations getting to know them, but I want you to now rise up. I want people in these networking events to be like, oh, Sharon is the shit. She's this awesome. And look at this presentation she did. Oh my God. Like she knows it. She gets it. She's ready. You know what I mean? It's like even if I don't want to work with her, I know somebody who does. You're a career coach at networking events. It's a high need, high demand environment. It's so good. I literally think that we need to like, and that's going to take some self-concept work to be like, okay, I can like do a presentation. We can look through it with you. But I wanted to see how does that feel to you?
Yeah, I can do that. The person that's hosting this event, I've been to several of hers, so I am friends. I know her. And she's doing a event on the 31st, which I'm going to as well, where she does have some other people there. It's more of sometimes she does it where she has a panel and then those people
Yes.
talk about their expertise on that panel.
But this is where you need to be. We want to get you seen as the expert in the career coaching industry for any of these networking groups. It's like there are probably going to be other career coaches there as well. And we want to be like, there are so many career coaches and they're all amazing. Here's what makes me different. I want to talk to you about this. It's about fulfillment. It's like there's a deeper layer here. It's like these are the things that, and I know because I know so many people who are career coaches, but they don't use pillars. So they can't articulate the why behind them. If you can get that why, if you can be clear about the results you have, it makes you already stand out in the career coaching industry because you're like, you help burnout, time management. It's like it's already helping. And I think if you were just like, hey, I'm the one you want to talk to, totally take you to the next level. And then you continue meet and they're like, I saw you the other day. You were weren't you on the panel? And then that's how it begins, getting into that like power presence.
Okay. And then that brings me into the other question. So I have been laying out I was going to do a webinar, and this webinar can also then be for the, like if I do a panel conversation or I do a presentation, it can be utilized for that as well too. So I had laid out the breakdown for that. And I was also going to invite people, because I'm utilizing where my strength is, which is right now in person, and I'm still getting setting up social media accounts. And then from what I understand on those social media accounts, it's good to have so many posts kind of already in there and setting those up. So I'll go ahead and invite people that I know to the webinar, and then I can use some of that for there. But I was looking at my pillars, and so I looked at so given that we're going into February, I was looking at, because of course I have time management, work-life balance, and long-term plan, and of course the stress, overwhelm, burnout, that type of mindset coaching. So I looked at it seems a lot of people struggle with time management, and I know we talked about long-term plan as well, but I
love this one.
I have either one of time management. Okay. So then I was looking at teaching people the idea of time audit, time beliefs, and then the 80-20 rule is what I have as my subtopics. And then I have, as far as I kind of did it as subcategories, which you mentioned posts, and then I did like webinar titles. And one that I had was like, so I go into that breakdown, if that makes sense. So like letting go of time stress, how to evaluate your time, what's the most profitable use of your time, or in this case, it wouldn't necessarily be profitable. It might be what's the best use of your time. Yeah.
Use of time. And I do like the idea of the profitable use of time. I also had one called Take Back Your Time that you feel free to like just like back your time that I did. Like literally anything I have, we will probably not have like overarching audiences. And if we do, they're gonna love it because you're gonna say it in a different way. Take everything that I have. I'm like literally like anything that you need, I got. And one of the things that I think is amazing about this is you can then pitch to corporate. You can be like, hey, by the way, I do this time management presentation. It's like, let me know. It's like, and then you can get in front of people who are in careers that you could for sure help. It's like, you know what makes you the most profit in your business? Productive employees.
Right.
Let's talk about how to help them. And then you can pitch that side of things. Like I was telling, I think Jess a couple weeks back, it's like she sees that opportunity as well. And then like just I want to plant the seed of like that's another reason why you're learning how to do this presentation at this level. So you can then pitch it for another thing in the future. The other
Right.
thing is the people that you're meeting at the networking events, maybe they also have organizations they want to pitch you to. So you can get them to start doing the work for you after you do the presentation for the organization. And it just kind of becomes like a web. The ripple effect of the effort that you're putting in now is going to pay off tenfold. But that's, I think, a way to make you really stand out.
Yeah. And I think the 80-20 rule, it would be good for that too, because again, like you can look at it as 80% of your problems come from 20% of your customers, but also 20% of your customers create 80% of your profit.
Literally, yes. And well, and then that could be for the CEOs. You could just be like, I want to teach your employees how to get more productive, So like, I'm like, yes. How does this sound?
And it goes back to what we were talking about, is knowing where you put your effort in, that's going to get you the best results. So like, where do you spend your time? that it's gonna, that's gonna get you the best results, or in our case, get us client consults and clients. So that's where you want to prioritize your time of what's actually doing that for you.
Precise.
Okay. Okay. I also I do like I always think, of course, the mindset is the foundation of everything. So I looked at as far as the power of thinking and possibility, but reconnect to your joy is one of the titles, or the art and science of creating emotional management rituals.
Mhm.
Something along those lines.
I like, so it's and then again, the joy, I like reconnect to your joy, art and science of, what'd you say?
The art and science of creating emotional management rituals.
Okay, emotional management tools. I would
No,
look
rituals. So that way
rituals.
you have if you focus on your mindset first thing in the morning, then that sets the foundation for your day.
So this is exactly what I was saying to Anise. So good. The first one is clear. I want you to think about like why, like, so for her, she was like, why is framework important? Why is it does starting with mindset? Why does it help them? What is it going to help them do?
Yeah. It sets
And
their mental focus for the day. So then that way, and like I teach my clients, you come, whenever you're having where you're getting off track there, you can come back to that, but you're setting your emotional, like a lot of times we might wake up in the morning and you're thinking, oh, I got a big meeting, but it's very important to set that emotional mindset. So therefore, kind of how you're basically, it's kind of like working out. You're setting your foundation for the rest of the day.
what I'm hearing is that then they'll be more energized because they're refocused.
True.
And the time, it will also help them. Like, so it's like you can think about like that everyone wants to save time, money, and energy. They're like
Yeah.
the main three. If you can tie it back to that in your
Okay.
title,
Okay.
you are getting it. I love this.
Okay. And I would say on the social media aspect, that's one area that I'm focusing on. So I'm looking at, I was at first you think, okay, the first thing you need to do is set up accounts, but actually the first thing you need to do is have content for those accounts set up as well too. So I was looking at developing that content, which also can, I can develop that content based off of like the webinar. And so again, I'm trying to streamline. So with that said, developing that content, if I understand correctly, like when you start up an account, it's good to have like maybe at least 5 posts
Mm-hmm.
or so many reels. Is that, and I would imagine that's the same for Facebook or Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Or
That correct?
LinkedIn. Any kind of social. I say people call it the grid of 9. So
Okay.
like essentially because you can only see 9 for Instagram.
Okay.
5 works too. Just remember like what I was telling Jess about cold, warm, hot. If you make
Yes.
these 6 for the first week and you think about
Okay.
your pillar, then that could get all of those ready.
That's what I was working to do. Okay.
Yeah. And the first time you do it, it's gonna feel really awkward, really weird. I'm just giving you a heads up now. I was like, just gonna feel awkward, weird, and you're gonna be like, this sucks. You're gonna be like, I hate creating content. It took me 6 hours and to do this amount of thing, but you're gonna get better at it. I'm just like giving you a forewarning that your brain is gonna fight you probably a fair amount because it's totally different than anything you've ever done in your life. So you're learning how, remember, you just want to be changing the mindset. It's like, wait, so you're gonna learn like a bunch of different skills when you first start marketing. You're going to learn content creation is a skill that encompasses graphic design, videography, like kind of like I don't want to say acting, but like speaking, like learning how to speak in a compelling way, copywriting, and and like there's gonna be lots of tech. So just have patience and trying to like if like what Anise was saying, she did all the videos first, then doing like just get them all done, and then do the graphic design, and then do the well, the videography is kind of like the and what I mean by videography is like it's a different skill to be the content creator then the content cutter creation. And then this is like the like tech side of things. So then like you're going to probably cut the video. That's why I said video AI. If you just like record yourself talking for 10 minutes about burnout, it'll cut it into a minute chunk for you. Because it usually I found that it's very difficult to speak in a succinct way quickly when you first start out. It's like, so that's going to be a skill that you're going to learn how to use in like video AI. AI can help you cut it. And then graphic design, copywriting, it's all different skills. Oh my gosh. Also, Missy, I will return. I saw the chat pop up. I will talk about that in a second and I'll tag her in something like that. But how does that feel? Like just and if you want to, the first time you do it, you could also, if anyone feels called to like support with the first time batching and doing all this stuff, having a friend it makes it easier the first time you go through. So if you want to post in the group and be like, hey, humans, they want to be with me for this first journey into content creation.
Okay.
I think that people would be, if you could also just like be like, okay, we're going to both put our Zoom up and then both productively work. That could also be a good time for anyone else if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to think of how I'm gonna lay that out. Okay. Because I think, yeah, anything that can help to like streamline that a little bit and make the learning curve not so great is always good. So I mean, there's always going to be a learning curve, but I just mean, and if I understand correctly, you just hold up your phone and you create your reels. And then from your reel, is that where you're creating those little short blurbs, but then you're also doing a post based on some kind of content you wanted to share.
Yes, excellent question. So for you, I'm just going to take this example. What is a pillar that you would like to do your first 6 posts about ever?
Well, let's say I always want to go to emotional management, but let's go to time management since that's going to be a webinar.
Okay, so we want to talk about time management. What is a time when you really wanted to need some support with time management?
Let's see. What I was thinking of what I hear from my clients or the people I talk to, and it seems like I would say most of them, they're always struggling with not having enough time.
Was there a time in life when you felt like that?
Yes. Trying to think.
Tell me about it. And you can be like, as a project manager, one of the biggest things I felt, bye Tess. One of the biggest things I really struggled with was this. I really struggled with like, you know what I mean? So then like, it's like, I figured it, it's like, I learned that this is why I teach this. It's like, it's so important to me that other people know how to do this to find a fulfilling career. And this is something that's helpful for you too. So
Okay.
you could say like, just give an example of like a time when it's like, I recall in January of 2020, I realized something needs to change. I was panicking this and I did this. Just some time when you struggled with time.
Okay.
Struggled with time in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Then this is a good point when you can say something like, can you give me one of like the things that you were saying for just one thing that you put for the subtopic?
Evaluating time or use of time.
Okay. I was like, tell me more.
Okay. Really, you need to take a look at where are you spending your time? And then really, because a lot of times people say, you go into like somebody says they work 60 hours and it might be more like 55. So where are you actually spending your time? And then how are you prioritizing your time?
I would say just where are you spending your time
Okay.
is the number one question that you're not answering for yourself that's going to teach you how to to take on time like a pro. It's
Okay.
like one of the biggest things that I see is that the misevaluation of time is huge. So I want you to like, if you have a second, calculate the numbers of hours how much do you think you're working? Then
Mm-hmm.
when you actually count the hours that you're working, there's probably going to be a discrepancy. That's normal. And that's something that I teach my clients. If you think you're doing more work than you actually are doing, how can you make it more accurate and actually get shit done in that time? That's one of the biggest things I teach in my program, and you're going to fucking love it. Then for the testimonial, literally anyone you've done any coaching with, like in here, anybody ever that you've worked with, or your current client, you can be like, I was just on a coaching call on Tuesday, and this is what happened. It's like I was talking with my client, make it really vague and anonymous if you don't have consent beforehand, and talk about it like that. And
Okay.
being like, you can even like sometimes what I'll do is I'll change people's pronouns so they don't feel called out.
Okay.
So I'll be like, one of my clients, he was really struggling. He wanted to change his, if it was a client who identifies as female or something like that. So yeah, how's that feel?
Good. I was kind of curious if I almost look at this twofold too. Like there's the practical application of knowing where you spend your time, but there's also your mindset around your beliefs about time.
Yes. And I was literally
Wonder
gonna say
which
that's
one,
literally
which one would be most impactful? I mean, I always love, because to me, like I said, yes, these are, I want people to, I think these are greatest posts, but as far as a webinar goes, I'd like to give somebody a tool that they're going to be able to utilize. And it's also to me creating that, like what you have now, like you mentioned to your people who might not be able to afford your program, they could at least go back and utilize some of the tools, but you're giving them basically an hors d'oeuvre. You're not giving them the whole meal.
yes.
So, but I think to me, it's very important to have, like, I can give somebody a spreadsheet so they can go in there and they can populate, like, okay, I'm sleeping this much, I'm doing this, and then how am I spending my time? I mean, am I watching too much TV, or am I checking social media too much, where I could utilize that time for something else I really want to do? You can give them that spreadsheet, but it's still, you don't create the belief, you don't create the habit until you create the belief, if that makes sense.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And you want to sprinkle the beliefs in as you go and do the webinar and things like that. The other thing I want to offer is that you mentioned, so there are two things I want to touch on. The first thing is when you were like, do I do the mindset piece or do I do the audit? Which is more impactful? The thing is, you're going to talk about these over and over again, probably. You're going to say it in a different way. And the first time you do it, it's going to take you a really long time, the longest it'll ever take. And it's probably not going to be the best that you will ever do, even if you take an exorbitant amount of time. So, what I would love for you to be like, I'm just going to get this done and out there. It's going to be my best work up until this point. And I know that I'm going to be talking about time management once every 4 weeks. So I'm also going to have time to talk about the beliefs and things like that. What's the easiest thing for me to talk about right now? The way you said it was like really easy. So let's talk about this first, and then you're going to be able to like add, change. And if you've got an idea for like something, speaking on your stories is also a really great way to like explain something a little bit longer.
Okay.
From there, the tool to utilize, having that on the webinar. If you're selling the webinar, you can talk about the tools. And I'm going to teach you 3 steps to manage your time and 3 steps to take back your time. I'm going to teach you this, this, and this, but you don't explain it in the post about it. You explain it on the webinar. So you can use it to build intrigue without giving it all away and things like that. The third thing I wanted to tell you is that we want to spend time on a tool that they can utilize. One of the things I love is like I talked with another person who found me and they were like, I've been working on social media for 2 years. I saw your simple social media strategy and I did my content calendar in 15 minutes. They were like, it's ridiculous. It's awesome. Love it. Appreciate it. within that, we also, that 60 minutes of her working with me, or 60 minutes of her watching me back, it was extremely helpful. And I also want you to spend time for your first webinar learning how to sell your program, learning how to speak about your program in a way that's compelling and serves your people, because what's going to be better for them? 6 minutes or 60 minutes or 6 months with you? Definitely. Is it 6 months? Is it 3 months?
6 months.
Yes. It's like, so that was a thought that I gave someone this morning, is that like 6 months is going to be way better than just 60 minutes with you. So taking the, I would say, equal airtime to the selling portion, just because like, oh my God, like if somebody works with you and they do the fulfillment blueprint, the career fulfillment blueprint, they're going to love it. They're going to be like, oh my God, this is badass. And going from that, also talking about like learning the skill of selling on a webinar is just something that's always helpful. From there, bring the script, like feel free to make it. If you have time, I would focus on the social. I put in order. I was like, I would say, continue to go to the networking events, do this, ask about this. Step 2, for your plan, get things up and running. Step 3, webinar. And if you have time to get to step 3 before next Tuesday, feel free to bring your script. I would make the script first, then worry about all the tech and like little stuff. And we can talk through the selling piece. We can talk through like pretty much anything else next week if you want.
Okay.
I'm so excited for you. So damn good. Love this. How are you feeling now? Do you feel complete?
Uh, yes, I'm making sure that because of course, this is all the kind of part of the administrative part. I want to make sure that I'm focused on just forgot, bringing people in. We talk about talking to 10 people a day. That's a little bit more difficult when you're in person so much.
Yeah.
I do make phone calls, like I do follow up with people that I met at networking events, and then it's just going out there and meeting more people. So income producing activities, that's the word I was looking for. So that all this other, yes, I'm going to do that. But then again, focusing on the income producing activities.
Yes. And what I would add is any day you're not going to a networking event, first off, like the networking event counts as 10. The next piece for you is going to be talking to people virtually. I think it's a skill that I would recommend everybody has, but work toward virtual networking. So if I were you, I would learn, because especially, and I'm going to actually add this as a, after you get the webinar, after you get the post up and running, then work towards the virtual networking where you do just like what I was telling Jess, figure out
Yeah.
where to find the people, the accounts, where to find client related groups, and just start like engaging. I was like, I want you to just work on like showing up in a group or things like that. It's going to be a different skill. It's going to feel funky, but I want you to focus on the things that are easy initially, and then we'll get moving.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always looking for, like I have my calendar filled out for February, but of what events that are available, and then it's just what other ones I could create. Again, go like you said, you can go to certain, like if you're working out at some place, then just those are the natural things that you can just fall into, like the yoga or whatever it ends up being. So, okay.
Yeah. And it'd say like this is going to be like your next skill. But I would say do the other stuff first, work on what you feel good about,
Okay.
and then just list a couple places and let's start to learn that skill as well. Amazing. Oh my gosh. It looks like you had a question.
You said learn that skill as well. So you're talking about the skill more on the social, not the in person. I guess
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
okay.
So step 1 in the plan,
Mhm.
you are optimizing the skill that you already have. Again, like what I was saying to Tammy, path of least resistance. You're great at this, optimize it. Then new skill, new skill, new skill.
Okay.
So we're going to focus on like this would be my priorities, easiest, middle of the road, probably most difficult.
Okay.
Even though you have a lot of skill with the networking, you're already talking to people. I would like for this to be your, if I were to customize it for you, it'd be network social webinar
Okay.
in person. Now, if you've got time, you want to work on that skill sooner, go for it. Go for this. If you've got extra time, I would just say these are going to be learning curves, and just expect it and be like, all right, I've got a lot to learn about how to make social media work. We're going to learn this, and it's going to take a minute, but then we're going to really get going with it. And just so you know, like the social media aspect, I put it here. So it's like, if you're looking for it, it's right here.
Okay.
Okay, well, feeling good? You're goodish.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like I said, I wanted to come up with a plan of kind of where to focus that energy and just how to do certain things better as well. So
Perfect. Well, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see this webinar. I feel like it's going to be great. Now, like, boom, we're focusing on the income producing.
when you say work towards virtual networking, is that when you're talking about finding social media groups? Is that what the virtual? Okay.
Yep.
Because I was looking at the find people. Oh, those are accounts. Okay. I was looking at you find other places to network in person, but those are accounts that you're looking at. Okay.
Yep. That's why it's different. And then this is going to be like online groups.
Okay.
Online people. Online, obviously.
Okay.
So good.
Okay. That works.
Yay.
Sharon, if you want
Okay.
to work on a webinar next Monday, I'm free.
Okay. That'd be great.
Just drop me an email. I just thought before we got to go and see the teacher on Tuesday with our webinar script, we can do some prep together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What time are you thinking that 10, which is I think 4 your time, or what, or you want to do sooner?
We'll
Feel
you
free to
got-
message about that. Yeah.
We
Feel
can
free
figure
to
that out. We'll
just
figure that
because
out.
sorry. Yeah.
I was like, you got this. I was like, don't worry. You can talk about it in the chat. But I just want to answer Missy's question real quick. Within that, she was saying she needs some mind coaching, mind drama on a consult with a friend. And I just had another client going through this. I really need, the more you guys can hear each other think, I think it's going to give you so much ahead of time. Like, it's so helpful. This is like literally like why I always invest in masterminds. So within this, the mind drama around a consult with a friend, you guys are going to experience this in your lifetime if you haven't already. There are things that you want to do on a consult with a friend, rather coach a stranger than get in the right headspace for tomorrow. Within this, what we want to do is you want to think when you're doing a consult with a friend, they might be testing the waters, and we want to mentally prepare for anything that is coming up for us. That pre-consult worksheet is going to be your best friend. First off, doing the pre-consult worksheet, I want to hear all of your thoughts about why it's easy, because Missy's going to have different thoughts than anybody else. And I'll give her this coaching in the Facebook group too. But I want to know why she would rather coach a stranger. Let's just get curious. It's like, why does your brain feel safer with a stranger? I don't want to make assumptions, but I am going to give you an example. For me, it felt uncomfortable when I first started my business. Again, not trying to give you any unhelpful thoughts, Missy, but one of the things that I was scared about is like charging a friend. I was like, oh my God, I don't want them. I had lots of thoughts about money and friendship. I had to really untangle them before I got on the consult so I could sell to her in a really clean way. And one of the things that I felt like is for me, I realized like I'm going to go to bat. It's like, if you want help with me over the next 6 months, I will do fucking everything I can to make sure that you feel like you got your money's worth and then some. My goal for each and every one of you is that you make 5K from a thought you get every single coaching call. Like every single call, I want to make sure you feel like you've got that as a shift for you, a breakthrough. and your belief that exceeds any learning that would have taken you the time of 5K's worth. So I really want you to coach yourself, and I want to know what the thoughts are that come up for you. Again, I want to give you any unhelpful thoughts, but I had lots of thoughts about money. So if that comes up, I want to hear what your thoughts are, get you into there. Now, within the coaching a stranger, it's like, so first off, coach yourself on and figure out why it's weird for friend. And then what we can use to our advantage is what makes it feel easier. So it's like, what are the thoughts? Why, or what are your thoughts about why it's weird for a friend? And then I want to know what your why or your thoughts about why it's easier for a stranger. If you already have the thoughts about a stranger, like, oh my God, I can totally get them results. I know that they're going to get what they came for. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Things like that. We want to do that. And we want to think about that as like a thought swap. So it's like, if you can probably get there for a stranger, you can probably get there for a friend, and use that as it's like, I know I can help them. If that's a thought you have for a stranger, that's a thought you can totally have for your friend. The other thing is the other thing that people have found is that when they're first starting a business, and I know you've had a business, but like a lot of times people might just be asking advice. And I think, Tammy, you just mentioned that you were like, someone just asked questions, they're just asking for advice, not really looking for a formal consult. So this is where you start the call with connection and shift to leadership. So this is something that like I've learned is like, you want to be like, hey, it's like, it's so great to see you. I know that we are like we are connected as friends, but I really want to talk to you about how we can like just shift your life over the next 6 months. I know I can help you. So let's talk about this. And if it's a good fit, great. And my initial tone when you do the initial connection is casual. And then I shift into more like, I'm the leader in this friendship now. So it's like, and then it's more professional. So it's like, I know a lot about you, of course. And then you can be like, and I want to like learn. It's like, why is this next 6 months really important to you? I know that you've got like this coming up, like what's going on, all those things. From there, then we want to, if there's like asking for advice or things like that, it's like, and to avoid the just asking, it's like avoid asking for advice things. It's like, okay, so what did you do here? It's like, ask them, start and be like, why did you want to sign up for a call to work with me for X time? So it's like, when it's putting the ball in their court, like, hey, you signed up for a consult call. This is what it means. Do we need to either the answer will be that they need clarity that it's not just an advice call, not an advice call. And then you can go through from there and be like, oh, okay, it's like, if you're just asking for advice, like that's totally fine. It's like, and like still like, let's make some moves today. Let's talk about this. The other thing is, if they're looking for, and then you can shift and be like, it's like, no, I really like want your help. Then you can direct in a more formal way. Being like, all right, like, so it's like, we must start, the way you start the call is going to be key. The way you prep for the consult is going to be key. And then when it comes time for whatever came up with the pre-consult, it was probably going to be money when we talk about it. I want you to like, just, it's like, decision to work together. That's when you really want to focus on asking compassionate, curious questions that further your relationship more. So it's like, you want to be like, it's like, I just want to make sure that this is the right decision for you. It's like, whether we work together or not, we're always going to be friends, right? So it's like, you want to like make sure you maintain the relationship, especially if it is like an actual relationship. I like to do this anyways. It's like, whether you're in or not is great for me. after I've gone through and I'm like, okay, so here's what I could do for you. I could do this, this, and this. I would start working with you in February. We'd start with this, then we'd do this in March and this and this. Do you feel like that's a good fit for you? Is this what you're really looking for? Amazing. Now it's like, again, it's like, I think we'd be a great fit to work together. I want to know, like, I want you to know, regardless of whether we work together or not, we're going to be friends. However, it's like, I really do feel like this could be really helpful for you. So do you want to work together and together? And again, this is after asking if there are any clarifying questions, and then go into, then once they talk about the decision, then just making sure that like, you make it about them. You know what I mean? So you're like, this is just why I think it'd be great for you. Totally up to you if you don't want to do this, but this is like making it about them. But Missy, I'm so excited. I'm like, this is great. Are there any other questions for other people that they want to add?
I think this is great for, it's great to go through because I have
A friend.
I have quite a few friends that are in this boat, and I know like part of like I've mentioned them and I offered them, but I know like if I did get a consult with them, that one, I think money would be, like you said, top of mind of maybe might be an objection or something that they wouldn't be able to do. So just walking through that. I also look at this because I'm meeting with a guy that I worked with at my previous job, and I know he's unhappy with where he's at. I'm meeting with him Friday for like a casual get together, dinner. And I know that I could help, like, for example, I know that I could help him through what I'm doing, but it's just bridging that gap for him in that conversation. And then
Yeah.
this is of course, once you get him on to the consult, how to kind of, again, I do the work prior to, and I do the evaluation after, but I think this is good to reflect on and kind of even see. I'm glad she asked this question because it helps me to also see, I deal with that same thing, but how to want to
Prepare.
guide this conversation and prepare. Yes.
Yes. That's like, I think the biggest thing is it's just preparing. You're just preparing yourself for the consults. That it like, I get, in any event, it's just so interesting to see what your thoughts are, because it's like, it's just like, oh, my brain is thinking that's too expensive. And if it's too expensive for a friend, it's probably underlying it's thinking that it's too expensive for anybody else. Now, it might be like their financial situation, and in any event, it's like worth it to be like, okay, I'm just gonna like clean up all these thoughts about finances anyways, and being like, because it's like, I don't want to like make an assumption. I don't want to be in somebody else's pocketbook or make a decision for them that they don't want to make. Like, I actually, the call this morning, I mentioned that like someone shut down their, they're shutting down their 401k to invest in the mastermind. And I was like, for me, I had to do a ton of work at the beginning. And I was like, oh yeah, that's like a thing that people do now. And people were like, oh my God, like that would stress me out. They were like, that would be so stressful. I'm like, oh, I already did that work like 2 years ago. I was like, so I know what my brain's gonna brain. And so it's like, in any event, any thoughts that come up for anybody who is wanting to coach with a friend or anything like that, it's going to be helpful for you to clean up that in any event for not the future. Tammy, do you have a quick question?
No, if I may add something to that, it's all about the expectations, because you're both going to approach that conversation having unspoken expectations. And so the sooner you can address those things, plain, simple, clear from both sides, the better it will be. Because like I've actually coached a lot of my friends, and also I have people who reach out to me, and every time they're asking for advice, I offer, hey, we can hop on a call for that if you like. This is what I do as a business, and I'm more than happy to do that. I also want to honor our boundaries, friend to friend, and not muddy the waters. Right? Because it's like, once you like friend conversations are different than coaching conversations. And so I have one friend who's like constantly pushing the envelope, and I keep reminding them, hey, I am happy to do a consult with you. Here's the link if you would like to continue that
Mhm.
conversation further. And then it's like, usually if they're serious, they'll click on it and they'll book. Or if they're not serious, oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was a coaching kind of thing. My bad, whoo, no harm, no foul. But it's very much like getting yourself, okay, well, what are my expectations of myself coaching a friend? What are the expectations they would have of me? And I explore all the things in terms of money, how it could possibly shift or change, or what impact it would have to the friendship and relationship. Because in a coaching relationship, they're going to share a lot of things that maybe I've not heard of as a friend. Will it shift how I treat them as a friend? And if the answer to any of that is, oh yeah, it will, and I truly don't think I'm the best fit for them, then I have complete peace about referring them to someone else where it won't mess up and jeopardize that relationship.
Yeah.
Like same thing with family members.
Oh yeah, especially like that's what I did as well. And I actually did end up referring people. And it was just like, it's like, okay, this is the better fit. Now we know, but it was also really helpful in that moment. So really, really great points. I just added it to the Facebook group or the stream. If anybody has any further questions, I've got you and I love you, but I'm going to see you next week. So I will see you soon and I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody. And I'm just gonna, if you guys want to leave, I've got another client. So